Hi, I'm Sunny, and this is my podcast, Creator, Created, Creating. Short and sweet mindset shifts for intentional life creation. Everything is an inside job. Everything. Everything is an inside job. So in my world, this is not everybody's world. It's not everybody's reality for sure. But in my world, everything is an inner job. Everything's inner work, and all outer work and all outer jobs flow from and are affected by what's inside. Everything outer reflects what's inner. That's how my world works. And if you are here, you are either absolutely know that to be true yourself, or are experimenting with knowing that to be true yourself, or have always deeply suspected this and known this, and every time you hear something about this, it resonates so deeply with you that you just cannot help but be super curious and listen in and pay attention, because something in you is absolutely resonating with it, but you're not 100% sure about it. So you're somewhere in the spectrum of fully knowing this, to being curious about this, to being curious about this and playing with this. But I just wanted to talk about this today because in my world, there is nothing, because the reason why I want to talk about this is because we tend to compartmentalize things into different areas, and we tend to think that certain things can be affected by your beliefs and your thinking and like working on your mindset. But other things are just the way they are, right? Like certain things I can play with, certain things I can affect through changing my perception about myself, about my world, about this subject. Certain things, sure. But other things are just the way they are. And I'm just wanted to share that for me, there is nothing that I cannot affect by going inside and healing that thing within myself. So if I see a certain area of life or the world or society that seems toxic, that seems hurtful and horrible, then I find that place in me, inside me. Where does that thing live in me? And I bring awareness first and foremost. That's the most important thing. Bringing awareness to where that lives in me. And then bringing acceptance that lives in me. And bringing love that lives in me. Love for me, love for this feeling, this experience, this expression in the cosmic, eternal universe. This expression, this feeling, this situation, this wound, this hurt, this anger, this frustration, this violence. Because yes, we see so much horrible violence in the world. And how often have you been violent towards yourself? So we know what these things are. They're in us. There's nothing that we see that we do not know. So everything is an inside job. So that doesn't just apply to world hurts and stuff, but it also applies to things like, thinking that that you can't affect like how the world receives you, that you can't affect how the world receives your work, that you can't affect your success, that you can't affect whether or not you will be discovered or cherished or found or loved, that you can't affect that because the power of that lies with the world, that you can't affect your finances because the power of finances lies with the world and with the system and with all of that. So yeah, we have believed that, and now we are taking our power back and creating our own experience, creating our own new reality with something that we've had that same worldview reality of, but we're creating a new reality from the inside out. But it always begins inside. And if you work to change things like money, things like career, things like people, sorry, my dogs are barking, things like people liking you and loving you and following your work and things like all of that from the outside in, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to feel like a lot of work, and you're never going to feel like you're doing the right thing, and you're never going to know what the right thing is, and you're just going to be a lot of guesswork and a lot of like struggle to try to make that happen. And then even when it does happen, you just still feel really insecure because you're not even really sure what even made it happen and how you're going to duplicate that and how you're going to keep that up. And then it's stressful to carry it because now that you have it, you have to keep it. And so it's this whole thing. And that's not to say that there's not a ton of guesswork and all of this on doing the inside job, but the difference is when you're doing an inside job, when you're clearing things up from the inside out, you're creating peace and love for yourself, safety and security for yourself, a deeply rooted inner security for yourself first. That becomes your foundation rather than the external things or the way that things are looking and behaving in your outer external reality being the foundation, which is shaky as hell and could crumble down at any time because that's what forms do in the world. They crumble, they fall apart, they're unreliable. So when you begin with creating safety, love, peace, and stability from the inside, everything external follows that. And that's not to say that that's not a struggle of its own kind, but it's a different kind of struggle. It's a different kind of struggle because the only struggle there is you have to feel those hurts. You have to look at them and you have to be with them in a different way than you've ever been with them before. Instead of getting rid of them, instead of trying to sweep them under the rug, instead of trying to fix them, instead of trying to therapize them away, instead of analyzing them, instead of doing all of this, you're bringing them love and acceptance and understanding. It's like you're remothering yourself, reparenting yourself, as they say. But I like to feel that from the point of view of like the loving universe, the loving divine mother, the loving angels, the loving God, the loving, even though I don't experience those things as separate from me, it's helpful to imagine all the forms, all the names of those things as separate so that you can feel and know that you are held by that which is actually you. And that's what we're doing. It's actually you that is reparenting yourself, that is re-loving yourself. You are that. And you get to experience the duality of that as two separate beings, just like we do in human relationships. That's the great blessing of being human and having this consciousness that perceives itself as separate. is we get to have these beautiful relationships, not just with people, but with energies and with entities and with our ideas of God and with plants and with animals and with air and with sky and with nature and with money and with business and with careers and with everything. Everything is a relationship. And with ourselves and with our mind and with our body. It's just ongoing forever. But I lost my train of thought there. But all of this to say that everything is an inside job in my world. Because that way I am always starting with love and creating peace and stability and safety within my body. And that births the most incredible things. Just that love, though, that's like the truth at the center of everything, which comes out of the void and is this beautiful blessing in this world that's more powerful than anything, and that you cannot see and you cannot touch and you cannot describe. No description will capture it. It's the most powerful force. And when you start with that and you use that, it changes everything. It's the most powerful thing that you can do, is to grow and expand that love. So every time you're in the thick of it and you're like really confused about what's the next best tool or thing to do about this or that, just remember love. Just remember it. And already bringing that into your awareness is going to start to shift things, even if you're really feeling horrible. You really think you really need to figure everything out and you really need to get on top of it and you really need to sort this out because money is outside of love and I cannot sort out my business and my career and my money and my life path and my livelihood and my relationship problems with this love that people are talking about. Yes, you can. You can, but your mind is not going to like it. It's not going to believe it because it's been taught the opposite 1,000 million times. It's been taught that love is not enough. It's been taught that there's no such thing as unconditional love. But unconditional love is something you have to discover for yourself, and no one can discover that but you. It's something you have to get in touch with and know within yourself, and you will see it more and more and more and more reflected in your world, including your business and your money and your livelihood and your relationships and everything else. But it's an inside job. So I know if you're here, you already know this, but this is your reminder. Because I need the reminder constantly too. All right. See you next time. And if you haven't checked out my new private podcast, Creating the Uncourse, you can check that out at sunnychapman.com/private pod. We now have 4 episodes in there, including how to locate, work with, and clear resistance, life designed by committee, no way. The more yourself you are, the more you will be loved, and what to do when you don't feel loved, understood, and appreciated. So if you want to check out those episodes and you want to learn more about my new private podcast and Uncourse, you can do that at sunnychapman.com/private pod. Thanks for joining me today. And if you'd like to find out more about me and my work, you can find me at sunnychapman.com.